Hello again, everybody. So this is volume 2 of Should I Buy a 1980s Honda Scooter? And the focus is going to be primarily on the Elite 50S this time. There are a few other points that I'm going to make about the Elite 125 as well. But let's start on this. So I had gotten into great detail that it's a very good idea to buy the service manual, get familiar with it, make sure that you have a really good understanding of how the machine works, and that's going to all be the same when it comes to this particular bike. Give you the back history. I found this bike for sale on Craigslist again. I found it for $600, and this time I was a little bit better prepared. When I went and looked at it, I got them down to $450 after I had told them all the different things that I was going to probably have to do to it, because at that point I really didn't know. There's a lot of unknowns, is the way I kind of stated it to the guy I bought it from. It's like I'm buying something that's extremely old. I don't know what I'm going to get myself into. He couldn't give me a lot of information on what he did, and I'm pretty sure he only owned it for one summer, so I don't think he did a whole lot to it. But when I got into the meat of it and started asking a big question, about what's been done to it, who's maintained it, all those different questions that I didn't ask on that bike, he was understanding, and he went down to $450, which to me was incredible. For that bike right there, $450 is a great deal, even with the things that I had to do. But it is a two-stroke, so it's a little bit different as far as maintaining it compared to that bike. You don't have to worry about coolant because it's air-cooled. And with it being oil injected, you don't have to worry about changing the oil. So it has a few less things that you have to worry about. It is a little bit easier to work on than that bike. And when it comes to what I had to do to this, just to give you an idea as well, it had a petcock on it that wasn't working well. It had a gas tank that was full of rust, which I just did a video about. Fuel lines had to be replaced. Not only were they brittle, they were leaking gas. The carburetor wasn't running well. I had to replace that. The tires, I had to put some new tires on. Again, these are tube tires on this particular type of scooter, so that at least will save you. I mean, if the sidewall is let go, you have tubes underneath. But still, the tires were dry rotted, big cracks in the sidewall, so I replaced those. The muffler, the gasket for the muffler, it was leaking a little bit, causing the bike to run a little erratic, so I replaced that seal. Gas cap seal I had to replace. Air filter I had to replace. I just showed you in one of my last videos. So this one didn't have the float bowl, wasn't leaking on the carburetor, but it just wouldn't idle right. It just wasn't working out real well, so I ended up buying another carb from eBay, a Honda. I guess you could call it a counterfeit type part, but that's going to get into my next thing I want to mention to everybody that I didn't mention on that previous video, and that's trying to find parts for these. Incredibly difficult. You can't just go to a Honda website and say you want to reorder that seat or reorder that front plastic or a rim or on that different headlight. They just don't have the parts anymore. Honda, again, won't service them, and they don't have the parts, so it kind of is up to you to be knowledgeable enough to maintain it. You'll be going out on eBay to find parts. You'll be finding mostly used stuff. If you go to the Honda websites, what you will find is you'll find maybe some screws, some bolts, little things here or there, but, nothing at all as far as new old stock to maintain the bikes. You're really going to have to find a bunch of used stuff in order to maintain them. You'll get lucky every once in a while, and like I found that basket. These are add-on new old stock items, or that rug that I put on that bike. So you will get lucky when it comes to those things. But keep in mind, again, if you're going to be buying one of these old bikes, you have limited part availability. So after I did the gas tank and the carburetor and emptied out the oil that was in it, because the oil that was in the reservoir it looked like it it looked very bad, so I had to replace that and put a new fuel filter on it. And again, I was up on this one for a couple $100. Not as drastic as what that one was. A little bit less to replace. But the side panels were in bad shape, so you can see what I did with those. Found some new stickers. But I mean, this was just things that I wanted to make it look a little bit better with. It by no means had to be done. The bike was running when I bought it. So at the end of the day, this is the same type of situation. I didn't mention the part availability, but that's a huge one. You know, going and finding parts for these, that's a huge problem. So this particular video, again, is whether or not you want to buy something this old. You want to find something that you're going to have to maintain with limited part availability with no outside help from Honda. So you're going to have to be knowledgeable with that maintenance manual, the same way I said with that one. And you'll have to make sure you're real familiar. You could probably watch some videos like I had mentioned in the last video. You might find some things that people do with these. There's a few pop-ups you can buy for them, but nowhere near as much as you can for the later 94 newer Elites. Have a lot more options. So this video is basically just letting you know again that you have to know that service manual if you're going to buy one of these. Make sure that you ask the questions to whoever you purchase this from. It is great leverage. It leveraged me $150 on this bike. When you start asking questions that they can't answer, and you say, well, you know what? I'm buying the unknown. I'm buying something 35 years old. So you have to make sure that you put all your cards out and say, you know what, I'm taking a chance on this. This isn't something I can just get serviced next door. So, but once you buy it and bring it home, it's Honda quality. It's something else I didn't mention in the first video. These bikes are made by Honda. Honda is, when it comes to the CVT or these bikes, it's what everybody else measures off of. You know, you find these things that are 30 years old and they're still running. They're not all rusted up garbage. So keep that in mind too. Maybe you can't service it, maybe somebody else can, but you're definitely buying something of quality. You know, I'll put this 35-year-old 50cc bike up to any new Chinese 50cc, and I guarantee you this is built better. I will stress it that the quality is much different. You might, if you maintain one of those Chinese bikes, you might get a lot of time out of them, but not like a Honda. I'm sorry, but if I'm hurting anybody's feelings out there, but these Honda scooters are well made, and that's why they've been in business as long as they've been. I mean, they just don't make a junk product. They make a nice product. So as long as you are familiar with the bike, you're willing to use that owner's manual and service manual to keep it up, you at least now know what I had to do with this bike when I got it. You know, I had to put a few $100s in parts in it. I did some cosmetic changes to it, but at the end of the day, you're not going to lose money on it. So that's another thing. These will hold their value compared to going out and buying some new Chinese type bike, which does not hold its value where these do. So that's going to do it for this volume 2 video, letting you know what I had to do from the point when I purchased this Elite 50S. And just mentioning as well, I did have to clean the gas tank on that old Elite. It had rust in it, and I also had to replace the fuel lines on that as well. So those are things that I did not mention in the first video that I did have to do. That's about it. So you all have a great day, and if you like my channel, please subscribe. If you have any problem with what I'm saying, I'd like to hear your comments, good or bad. You all have a great day. Thank you.